All right, everybody, this is a guided walkthrough for day number 7 from the Advent of Cyber event over at TryHackMe.com for the year 2025. So this room is called Network Discovery Scanta Clause. All right, so the first thing we need to do when we get into this room is we need to join the room, and then after we join the room, we need to go down to task number 1. So there's a storyline going on here, and let me go ahead and read that out. Christmas preparations are delayed. HopSec has breached our QA environment and locked us out. Without it, the TBFC projects can't be tested, and the entire SOCMIS pipeline is frozen. To make things worse, the server is slowly transforming into a twisted EastMist node. Can you uncover HopSec's trail, find a way back into TBFC devqa01 and restore the server back before the bunny's takeover is complete? For this task, you'll need to check every place to hide, every open port that bunny's left unprotected. Good luck. Okay, so for our learning objectives for this day, we've got learn the basics of network service discovery with Nmap, learn core network protocols and concepts along the way, and apply your knowledge to find a way back into the server. So connecting to the machine, what do we need to do today? We need to start up the attack box today, yes. And we also need to start a VM today, yes. Okay, the machine will need about 2 minutes to boot. Okay, so this is what we do. So we're gonna go in here. So we're gonna start up the attack box and we're gonna start our machine as well. So click on the green start machine button and then click on the start attack box button over here. So the attack box is gonna take about 2 minutes to initialize, but in the meantime, what we can do is we can read up about what we're supposed to be learning today. So here, answer the question below. I've successfully launched the target machine in the attack box. Click on the check, and we're done that. And then we go to task number 2, discovering exposed services. Although we lost access to the QA server, at least it's still active, and we know its IP address. That's good news, since now we can counterattack and hopefully find our way back in. Ensure that you understand basic networking concepts like networking ports, and let's plan the engagement. So know your target. In this case, it's this server right here with this IP address. We'll get the IP address in just a little bit. Scan the IP for open ports, especially common ones like 22 for SSH and 80 for HTTP. Number 3, explore what's behind the open ports. Maybe it's a vulnerable web server running on port 80. And number 4, hack the exposed service and find a way in, and kick out the bad bunnies from the QA server. So along the practical of today's task, you will find 3 keys. Keep note of them since you'll be needing them later on for the web app. The format will be this: key name, key. Okay, so we're going to be doing a simple port scan. There are many tools that you can use to scan for open ports, from pre-installed Netcat on Linux and PowerShell on Windows, to specialized powerful tools like Nmap and Nabu. Let's use Nmap for this task and perform a basic scan from the attack box or your own VPN-connected attacking machine. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to be scanning the machine to understand what ports and services are being offered on that server. So we've got our attack box here. It's powered up. So just click into the terminal, hit enter, and then we're going to open up another terminal. So there are terminal shortcuts here, here, and here. Just choose one of them and click on it. The IP address that we're going to be scanning in this case is going to be this one right here. So IP address. So for us, it's going to be this IP address. It's going to be different for everybody. We're going to type in Nmap, and we're going to scan all the ports by specifying -p-. We're going to get very verbose output. We're going to run it very fast, and we're going to try to get versioning information for any service that we find. And we're going to provide this scan to this IP address. So I'm just going to plug that in, 176.21. Okay, so when we give this command, we're scanning the remote server, and we're trying to find out which ports are open, and if those ports are open, what service is being run behind those ports. So we see that there is port 22 and port 80 open on the system, and that usually points towards common networking services like SSH that is used to log in, and port 80, which is a unencrypted web page. Okay, we'll just wait for the rest of this to come back, but in the meantime, we can talk about what else is supposed to be going on over here. Okay, so scanning the whole range. So usually when we scan with Nmap, unless we specify something specific, it's only going to scan the top 100 ports, but we can scan every single port by using this argument right here. And they also recommend us using script equals banner to see what's likely behind the port. Okay, so we're just going to skip past this part, and we're just going to wait for the scan to come back. It might take a little bit of time, but they actually tell us what kind of services are being run on the machine. So it looks like you found a running FTP server and some custom TBFC application. So we can see here that there are a couple of non-standard ports that come back. So there's 21212 over here, and this does not have a regular application that is associated with it. Same thing with this port over here. So 25251. So what we can do is we can do some scanning against these ports in particular. And this is how we're going to do it. So I'm just going to copy this number, and then we're going to go to another tab in here, and we're just going to run nmap against that port in particular. So the port is going to be this, and it's going to be T4, and the IP address is 10.65.176.2.1. We can also run the script equals, what was it, banner? Hold on, let me look that up real quick. So dash script equals banner. Okay, let's give that a go. Okay, so when we run that, it tells us that there is an FTP server that's being run on this port. So FTP is not usually associated with this port number, but you can put any service on any port number if you really want to. It's not necessarily a very good way of hiding the services because, well, I mean, people can use Nmap to find out what's behind those particular ports anyways. So what they want us to do is they want us to interact with this FTP server. So we can interact with the FTP server by running this command. So we just run the FTP command to connect to the FTP server. So FTP is a file transfer protocol service, and we can use this service to upload and download files. So we connect to the service, and one of the things that we can check when we're checking FTP is we can check if there's anonymous access. So anonymous access means that we can access the service without a valid username and password. We just type in the word anonymous. Okay, and then we can take a look at what's on the FTP server, and we've got this tbfc QA key 1. This file over here, we can download it by using the get command. So get tbfc QA key 1, and that's going to download the file. So after that, we can exit out of the server, and we can see that we've collected this file here, and we can read it. So cat, and we've got the first part of the key, so Easter underscore. So we're just going to copy this, and we're just going to keep it someplace where we can remember to find it. So I'll just put in another tab over here and just paste it in. And the next thing we want to do is what? Okay, and let's see. So good job finding the first flag part. There's nothing more that we can see on the FTP server. So let's move on to the custom TBFC app on port 525251. Since it is not a well-known service like FTP or HTTP, let's see. So your FTP client won't know how to deal with that. Luckily, you can always use netcat, a universal tool for interacting with network services. So we can use the netcat command, and let me talk to you a little bit about what kind of service that we found on this port. Okay, so over here, we found that on port number 25251, we encountered an unknown service. But if we take a look over here and scan that service in particular with Nmap, so what was that port number? It was 25251. 25251. Okay, and then we run the Nmap script, and we see that there is a TBFC maintenance application over here that's running on this port. So if there's not a commonly known application we can use to interact with this particular service, we can use Nmap to do it. We would just have to run our Nmap command we can use netcat to interact with the service. 25251, and we'll just put netcat at the beginning of this. So what this program is going to do is it's going to try to interact with the service on port 25251 on this IP address. Okay, and we get this prompt over here. So TBFC maintenance daemon version 0.2, and we can type help to get the commands over here. So the commands are help, status, get key, and quit. So the goal of the exercise here is to get all three of the keys. So we can run this command over here called get key. Get key, and then we get the second part of the key. So this one over here, we'll just copy it, and then we'll put it over in our tab for safekeeping. So now we've got two parts of the key here. So Easter is the, okay, and what do they want us to do next? Okay, so congratulations on the second flag, but where do we look for the third one? Till now, you've scanned only TCP ports, but there are also 65,000 some odd ports for UDP, another transport protocol, and there is a chance that HopSec secrets are hiding there too. You can switch to the UDP scan by specifying the SU flag. So we can use, by default, Nmap scans TCP ports, but we can also specify UDP ports to be scanned as well. And this is how you do it. Okay, let's go over here. So we'll just run Nmap, but we'll specify -SU for UDP. And we need to specify a port to be scanned. So scanning UDP ports is a very, very slow process. So what we're going to do is we're going to cheat a little bit because we know what port we need to be scanning for. So the port that we need to be scanning for is port number 53. So when we run the scan, hold on. Oh, this is netcat. It should be Nmap. Nmap port 53. Okay, so we see here the Nmap scan is going to let us know that 53 is open on the UDP port, and it is the domain. So domain means DNS, so domain name service. And what we can do is we can query the domain name service for some information about a particular domain or web page. Okay, so how do we do that? Let's talk a little bit about it over here. So after a minute, you should find an open port 53 associated with DNS. So a protocol that drives the modern web by connecting domains to IPs and many more. So DNS is a complex topic and many secrets can hide here. But let's ask the DNS server if it knows the key by using the dig command to perform advanced DNS queries. So I don't know why they're giving us a something that we haven't encountered before, which is this domain over here. So key3.tbfc.local. You would not know. You would not know about this particular domain unless they told you this. But since they're telling you this, we might as well use this command here to get the hidden key. Okay, let's go back and we'll paste in our command. So before we run the command, let's talk a little bit about what this command does. So what the command does is it queries this particular server right over here for a text entry. Text entry in DNS is just basically some information, and we're asking about this particular website right here. So key3.tbfc.local, and if there's some information, it'll give it to us. Okay, and see here that we got some information about this particular domain by querying this DNS server. And we found out that there is a text entry over here that is key number 3. So this is what we're looking for. So new Christmas, new Xmas. So we're just going to copy this. We're going to go over to the place where we put the other 2 keys, and now we've got the entire key. Easter is the new Xmas or Christmas. Okay, so what do we need to do next? So on host service discovery. So now that you've got all three keys to the TBFC dev QA01 QA server, it's time to call your TBFC teammates and kick out the bad bunnies. But first, log into the server's admin panel by visiting this IP address right over here for within the attack box, and access the secret admin console by submitting the combined keys. So this is how we're going to do it. So we're just going to copy our key because we're going to need to use it in just a sec. We can copy that, and then we're going to open up our Firefox browser inside the attack box. So the attack box has its own web browser, and we can use it to browse websites that only the attack box can get access to, like our IP address over here. Okay, and we're just going to click into here, and we're going to type in HTTP and then the IP address. So it's 10.65.176.21. Of course, your IP address is going to be different. Okay, so we got our web page here. So Eastmas takeover, and it says pwned by hopsec over here. And what we need to do is we need to get back into the server by providing the key. So I'm just going to click on enter key, and I'm going to paste in the key that we've been collecting here. Okay. Ooh, why did it go twice? Okay, so we paste in the key and then we click on unlock. Okay, so it says correct key terminal is now available. So we're just going to click on the terminal. But before we click on the terminal, we need to use this slogan over here as the answer for one of our questions. So let's go ahead and answer that question right now. Okay, so we'll just go down to the bottom so that we can answer the questions. What evil message do you see on the top half of the website? So we see here pwned by hopsec. We'll just plug that in, pwned by hopsec. Check that. And we've got the 3 parts of the key that we need to submit over here as answers as well. And let's see. So the first part is, hold on, let me just paste in the chat so that I can remember. Okay, I put it in the terminal here. Easter is the new something something. Okay, so the first part is 3ASTR, like that. Okay, and the second one is the the second part of the key. So 15 underscore the. So I think this part of it is it. So 15 underscore. Okay, and the third part is new Xmas. So new MN 45. Okay, so let's continue now that we've answered those questions. We're going to go back to our web terminal here. Okay, so we need to go to the administrator terminal. Okay, so here what we can do is this is a secret admin console. So what we have here is we have a web console that we can access from the web page, but it essentially lets us run commands like we're on the web server. So we can use all of our typical Linux commands. We can do ls, we can do pwd, we can ask who am I, and they want us to do some specific stuff. And let's find out what they want us to do on the console here. Okay, let's go back up. Okay, so once you have access to the console, there is no need to scan the ports. You can simply ask the OS to list its open ports, also called listening ports. Open ports, also called listening ports. You can run it. You can do it by running sstunlp or netstat on older systems inside the secret admin console on the web app. In the output, you'll see exactly the same services that you scanned before, listening on 0000, but also some listening on 127.001, which are available only from the host itself. So let's talk about this. Okay, so we can go back here, and we can run the command that they asked us to run, which is the sstupln, and this will let us know. Let me see if I can make this a little smaller, because the interface is a little bit cramped. Okay, this will let us know what ports are being are listening, or open ports rather. So we've got a bunch of ports that we already knew about, which is stuff like 53 and port 80. And we also see some stuff that is running on localhost only, like port 8000 over here. And we also see that running locally is 7681. And this one, what we need to pay attention to here on 3306. So 3306 is a TCP port that's usually associated with the MySQL service. So that's an online database. Okay, so what they want us to do is they want us to access the database. Okay, let's see the database content by using the MySQL program. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to get a flag from the database service. So this is something new that I discovered just a couple of days ago. But sometimes, what happened here? Okay, we didn't scroll up to the top. Man, there's so much stuff going on. Okay, so within the a local system, you can just type in MySQL to access the server. And after you've accessed the server, for this last part, I need to view this machine in full screen because it's really hard to see otherwise. Okay, we'll put this in full screen. Okay, so now we're inside the database. And what we want to do is we want to find out what databases exist in the MySQL service. So show databases. Okay, we've got information schema, performance schema, and TBFCQA01. So this is probably what we want to access. So we want to use that database. So use TBFCQA01. Okay, and then we can list out the different tables in this database. So show tables. And there's only one table in this database here, so it's called flags. We can just dump out the flag by selecting select star from flags, and this is the last flag we need to collect for this room. So THM all services discovered. We're just going to copy this. Where is the copy button? Okay, copy. We're going to go back to the THM room. Okay, so which port was the MS MySQL database running on? So the typical port is 3306. And what is the final flag? So the final flag is over here. And the last thing we need to do is we need to click on this check button to finish the room. All right, everybody, this was a guided walkthrough for day number 7 from the Advent of Cyber 2025 event over at TryHackMe.com. So the room was called Network Discovery Santa Claus. If you enjoyed this guided walkthrough, please click on the like and subscribe buttons on the video and leave a comment underneath the video. But until next time, HackerFrogs out.
Hey there, HackerFrogs! Are you enjoying this workshop? Learning new concepts and skills? If so, there's a way you can support the channel, and it's totally free. Just click on the subscribe button below the video. Also, click on the like button. And if you have questions or comments on this workshop, please leave them below the video. Thanks for listening. And now, back to our scheduled programming.